This Saturday night in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, 2 UFC belts are up for grabs, and this is Let the Record Show. If you haven't seen this show before, I basically look at the records of all the fighters. There's no analysis, no drama, no bullshit here. It's pure records. That's it. Nothing else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up Wikipedia, I'm going to pull up Tapology, and I'm going to look at the records. I'm going to look at who the people fought in their last few fights, how they've won, where they fought, everything like that, anything and everything. And we're gonna go through them all. Not gonna go through every fight in the card because it'll be here for 84 hours. I'm gonna go through the big fights on the card, and especially the 2 big title fights. But the first thing I always do, if anyone has seen this show before, it is the Wikipedia test. So let's have a look at Wikipedia here. And I suppose the Wikipedia test is how many blue numbers do we have, or how many blue names do we have even. And we have lots of blue names. You see the main card here, all blue names. The undercard, the main preliminary card, I suppose you'd call it, only 2 names in black there, Austin Hubbard and Darren Wynn. And I suppose Darren Wynn is, arguably one of the most famous fighters on the card. And then on the early preliminary card, only 1 name in black. So it's pretty good. Passes the Wikipedia test pretty well. So all in all, I suppose that's a good sign for the card itself. So let's get into the actual card itself, and let's look at some of the records here. So I'm gonna jump over to Tapology here, and we'll look at it. And I suppose first things first, it's on March 7th, this Saturday night. 10 p.m. Eastern time, which would be 3 a.m. Our time here in Ireland and over in the UK as well. It's at the T-Mobile Arena, obviously, in Las Vegas, and it says here there's 12 scheduled bouts, so a shorter card than maybe some of the ones we've been used to recently. The main event, the 185 pounds UFC title is on over 5-minute rounds, as the 18-0 Israel Adesanya takes on the 13-4 Yoel Romero. And the other title fight on the card in the co-main event is for the 115 pounds strawweight title, as Zhang Weili, 20-1, takes on former champion Joanna Jędrzejczyk, 16-3. Now, before I get into all of this, let me just say, if any of the information here is wrong, it's Tapology's fault, not my fault. And I shouldn't say that as well, because most of the information here is dead on. But, people change gyms, and it's hard to keep a track of everything like that. And shout out to Tapology as well for, this is really good themselves, and Sherdog, and obviously all the people at Wikipedia and all do this very well. So let's have a look through it here. Before we get into the 2 big fights, let's have a look at maybe 1 or 2 of the other big fights on the card. And before we do that, even let's look at the main card. So we've Beneil Dariush at 155 pounds over 3 5-minute rounds against Drakkar Klose. Beneil Dariush 17-4-1, Drakkar Klose 11-1-1. We've Neil Magny against Jinglang Li, or Li Zhangliang even. It fucked me up because the name is backwards. 170 pounds. And opening the main card, then we have Alex Oliveira versus Max Griffin. On the prelims, Sean O'Malley is coming back against Jose Alberto Quinones to headline the preliminary part of the card. We have Rodolfo Vieira 6-0 against Sabarek Safarov at 9-2. Marco Madsen, the Danish Olympian, I believe he is, at 9-0 wrestler against Austin Hubbard 11-3, and Emily Whitmire 4-3, coming off the Ultimate Fighter a few years ago, I believe, against Polyana Viana 10-4. At 115 pounds, Guido Canetti 8-4 in the prelims against at 135 pounds against Dana Batgarel 6-2. Jamal Emmers 17-4 against Giga Chigadze from Georgia, I believe, like my boy Georgie Kinkladze back in the day, 145 pounds. Then Deron Wynn against Gerald Mershart at 185 pounds. Let me look at Deron Wynn here while we have him up. As you see there, and he's in his singlet, he was a very, very good wrestler, and he fights out of American Kickboxing Academy, so aka Habib Nurmagomedov, Daniel Cormier, and people like that. So he's fighting at 185 pounds, but see his height here, 5'6", a really, really small guy. I think he's fought at heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely fought at light heavyweight anyway. So he's a very, very small guy for the weight, with a 71-inch reach. And we'll look at his opponent in a second to see where he is. But his last fight didn't go so well for him. Lost to Darren Stewart back in October of last year. Entered that fight 6-0 obviously, and exited at 6-1, so he'll be entering this fight at 6-1. But before that, he beat Eric Spicely in his UFC debut, beat filthy Tom Lawler, pro wrestler extraordinaire before that, and had a few wins. Only made his a few wins before that. Only made his debut in 2017, so he had 3 fights in 2017, 2 in 2018, and then got signed to the UFC. So it was a quick rise for him. No amateur experience there, so his wins are obviously 6 wins there and 1 loss, 4 by TKO, KO, 2 by decision, and his 1 loss obviously by decision as well. So like if you just look at those that height again and the reach, 5'6", 81 inch reach. So let's look at his opponent just to have a quick look at it here. I don't want to stand this fight all day, but Gerald Meerschaert, 6'1", 77.5. So that's a big difference there when you're talking about guys like that. And when we're talking about the records and we're talking about measurables here, I suppose that's one big measurable that you have to look at going into these fights and see how Darren Wynn actually deals with it. So Marco Madsen, I think, another guy I have to pick out here to look at. 9-0, obviously a very good record there, but if you look at him, born in 1984, 35 years of age, he doesn't have much time to get in there and get to where he wants to get there if he's a high level athlete, and to get to the very top. His last few fights, obviously he fought in his UFC debut, I believe that was in Denmark if I'm not wrong. Does it say it there? But it doesn't say it there, does it? Yeah, anyway, UFC on ESPN 18, let's click it and see. Yeah, that was over in Denmark. It was, yeah, Copenhagen, Denmark, yeah. So as I said, 9-0 in his career, and he needs to start getting these wins. He debuted back in 2013, on 2014 as well, but I think he was in the Olympics between then, but he fought 4 times in 2018, fought in cage warriors in Denmark a couple of times. And then obviously, fought again in Cage Warriors in 2019, fought Patrick Nielsen, and then made his UFC debut. So, he's some very good wins there. Let's see how he got those wins, because I think that's an interesting thing with kind of wrestlers coming in there. So look at this, 3 decision, 3 submission, 3 TKO. So very interested, very looking forward to seeing Marco Madsen, and obviously his opponent Austin Hubbard, 11-3 there as well. Sean O'Malley, a lot of people like Sean O'Malley, 10-0. Right now, going into this fight, 25 years of age. He's been out for a while, fighting out at MMA Lab, as we see there. He's a few grappling bouts here, but his last fight against Andres Sukumtat was all the way back in 2018, the 3rd of January, February, March. So it's when I'm recording this, actually, it's on Monday here, the 3rd of the 3rd. So exactly 2 years ago to the day I'm recording this right now. Beat Tyrion Ware before that, 2 unanimous decisions there, 1 in Dana White's Contender Series, where he kind of vaulted himself into our mind before that. And look at all the guys he's fought, the records like 12-5, 17-5, 8-3, 9-1, 3-3 in just his 5th, 6th fight. 2-0, 3-1, 8-10 is for your 3rd fight. That's pretty good there. And 1-5, I know is not the best result, but he's Sean O'Malley. He's lots of fights as well as an amateur. Look at all those fights there, but his wins have come by 5 by TKO, KO, 2 by submission, and 3 by decision as well. So interesting to see how Sean O'Malley looks when he comes back and fighting Quinones as well, 8-3. Obviously a guy who's been around the block as well from time to time. I suppose Neil Magny as well is another one who's been out for a while. Just to look maybe quickly at him, 21-7, Neil Magny, and he's been out since 2018 as well. I believe it was something to do with USADA that he was out for, but I'm sure you'll be able to find that over on Wikipedia or whatever. Lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio in his last fight. With Craig White, Carlos Condit, he beat before that, beat Johnny Hendricks. So a couple of ex-champions, 1 interim champion, 1 official champion, beat a Bellator champion as well in Hector Lombard. Obviously lost to Lorenz Larkin, beat Kelvin Gastelum, beat Eric Silva. Some very good wins for that man, Neil Magny. And if you look at his record here, 2015, 2015, he's a guy who likes to have lots of fights in a very short time. 2014, so lots and lots of fights Neil Magny has. And his record, if we look at his if I can get down through me so many fights, how he finishes his fights, 14 by decision, so there's lots of decisions there for Neil Magny. 7 by KO, TKO, and 3 by submission. And then his losses been finished all but once in those 9 8 losses even. And obviously when he fights Li Jiangliang, let's have a quick look at Li as well. He's been on a tear recently. I think let me just look here, did he lose his last fight, if I'm not wrong? Oh no, he didn't. He won his last 3, but he lost to Jake Matthews there in 2018. So that's 2 years ago against since that as well. Knocked out Jalecki dos Santos, isn't it? Elio Jalecki. I'm very bad at pronouncing names. Knocked out David Zawada before that as well. And he's a few wins there. So Li Jiangliang, if he can beat Neil Magny, this is probably the biggest name of his career if he can beat him. So it'll be obviously beating Diego Lima back in the day as well. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Beneil Dariush, another guy as well. Let's quickly look at Beneil, 155 pounds. Look at his last few fights there. Beat Drew Dober, beat Frank Camacho, beat Thiago Moises. Decision, 2 armbars. Before that, he lost that big fight to Alexander Hernandez. He had a draw with Evan Dunham before that, and lost to Edson Barboza, obviously. But before that, look at him. He was he entered that fight 13-2, 14-2 into the fight against Edson Barboza, even only losing to Michael Chiesa in the UFC. Was there anyone else in the UFC? Lost to Ramsey Ninja and a good back as well. He's some good wins there. Anthony Rocco Martin, we see what he's been doing recently. Darren Krushank is a good fighter. Jim Miller, Michael Johnson, James Vick, Rashid Magomedov. Some really, really good wins there, and I've been a big fan of him for a while, and let's see what he can do. And Drakkar Klose as well, I suppose he kind of vaulted himself into our psyche with this win here against Mark Chikese when he entered the fight at a 7-0-1. Beat Devin Powell even before that, which is a pretty good win as well. And okay, he lost to David Timur, who's a very good fighter as well, but he beat Lando Venata, beat Bobby Green, and won his last fight as well. So this is a big fight, I think, for that division. If whoever can win that will be moving on. So I'm looking forward to seeing that fight and seeing which way it goes. Now the 2 big fights, let's get straight into them here. The co-main event first between Zhang Weili and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Let's have a look at Zhang's record first and have a quick bruise through it here. 21-0. Let's see here, 5'4" with a 63-inch reach. I'm pretty sure I said like a 60 or 160-inch reach before here, which is 100% wrong. But her current win streak is 20 wins. So does that mean she lost her first fight and has won every fight since? That's exactly it. So we see that with a lot of people. I think Chris Cyborg did the same thing. But we see she debuted back in 2013. She had 2 fights in 2014, 2015, a couple of fights in 2016, lots of fights in 2016. So that's when she kind of really started taking it seriously, 2016. So she's only really been, a fighting pro and taking it really, really seriously, I suppose, as an actual competitor since 2016. She's obviously been training a lot longer than that. But you see all these fights here. So many fights. Look, 2017, how many fights she's had. And then she got into the UFC in 2018, late in 2018, beat Danielle Taylor, beat Jessica Aguilar, beat Tisha Torres, beat Jessica Andrade in her last fight. But just a quick look again at those fights here, and a quick look at the records, because this is let the record show. One of her last fights before she got into the UFC, she fought someone who was 2-0 there, which is not very good, but she fought someone who was 12-9 before that, 4-0, 4-4, 3-1, 13-10-1, 4-1, 18-9. So, not the worst in the world. She's getting tests in all of those fights, so it's not as if she's a big padded record coming in here. There's a couple of ones in there, alright, which for someone who enters the fight at 13-1 after winning 13-0 to fight someone who's 2-0 mightn't be the best in the world, but she's definitely had her big fights. And I suppose, look, if you look at the Jessica Andrade, Tisha Torres, Jessica Aguilar wins. Jessica Aguilar former pound for pound number 1 women's division. She's not what she used to be, but she's still a good fighter. And if you armbar her in the first round like that, if you beat Jessica Andrade in the first round like that, you know how good someone is, and the record shows it, as well as what we see and what we can analyse week in and week out. And obviously fighting Joanna Jędrzejczyk then again. So let's go back here, and I'll click Joanna Jędrzejczyk 16-3. We'll see Joanna. She's obviously fighting out of American top team now. 5'6" too, so not a. I think Zhang was 5'6", if I'm not mistaken as well. I have the worst memory ever, but 65.5 inch reach as well. So I think they're pretty much. Let me click that just to make sure. So let's look at Zhang's height again. There's no rush here. So she's 5'4". Yeah, it looks similar enough. 5'4", 5'6". Yeah, 2 inches. There's a bit of a difference, but not absolutely huge. But we look at Joanna Jędrzejczyk's record here. She beat Michelle Waterson her last fight. We talked about that a bit in the podcast, where I thought she fought with a little bit of a different style there. Went up to 125 pounds before that and fought Valentina Shevchenko for the title. So, you know, she goes to a decision in that fight against Michelle Waterson. That's 5 5-minute rounds. Valentina Shevchenko, 5 5-minute rounds. Tisha Torres, okay, 3 5-minute rounds. Rose Namajunas, 5 5-minute rounds. She lost in via punches in the first round. Jessica Andrade, 5 5-minute rounds. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, 5 5-minute rounds. Again, lots and lots. There's no need to keep going through them. Lots of wins, lots of fights going 5 5-minute rounds. So she's experienced at that, and she can definitely go there. Look, we talked about Waterson, Shevchenko, the top challengers there, are champions in Valentina Shevchenko's case. Tisha Torres has been around a long time, 10-2. Rose Namajunas obviously beat her twice. In, you know, maybe the first real dynamic striker she has fought and lost to her twice. So that's I don't want to get into the analysis here, but that's, I suppose, the fight you'll be looking at, talking about the fight this weekend. Beat Andrade again, just as Zhang did. Beat Kowalkiewicz. Gadelia, she beat her twice. Beat Jessica Penne as well, and beat Carla Esparza to win the title. So even before she got there, you know, in Cage Warriors, she beat Rosie Sexton, she beat Carla Benitez. She's some good wins. Kate Jackson into the fight at 4-0. She beat someone who was 8-3 in her fourth fight. So, you know, Yin Jacek, and she, you know, fought and beat Karolina Kowalkiewicz in her amateur days as well. So if you look at her record here, and the how she has finished her fights, been 4 by KO, 1 by submission, and 11 by decision. So lots of decisions there for you, Yin Jacek, and her losses 2 by decision, 1 by KO, obviously to Rose Namajunas. So, you know, very, very interesting fight, obviously. You know, as I said again, 5 5-minute rounds over 115 pounds, and that 115 pounds is big as well. Highlight that there. You have to get down to, it can't be 115.5, it can't be 116. Yin Jacek especially, she cuts a lot of weight. Zhang has been, because of the coronavirus, she's had to go all around the place to get to America. Will that affect her weight cut? So down to 115 is big for both of those women here. And you could probably say the same for the main event, 185 pounds. Yoel Romero has struggled. He's missed it. He missed it for his last title fight against Robert Whittaker. He missed that 185 pounds. And I saw Israel Adesanya was on earlier on. He's showing, he was talking about he'd a little bit of a staph infection. So will that cause him to struggle to get down? Hopefully not. Hopefully none of this happens. But, you know, we're talking about the records, and that's about it as well, 185 pounds. So they have to get down to that. But let's look at both of them here. 18 fights for Israel Adesanya. Yoel Romero, 17 fights, so very, very similar in terms of in terms of MMA fights. But Adesanya, lots of kickboxing fights, lots of stuff before that. Yoel Romero, lots of stuff before that as well, because of his wrestling background. So let's take a look at we looked at the champion, the last one first. Let's take a look at the challenger first this time. So we see the soldier of God, Yoel Romero, fighting out of American Top Team. Interesting here as well, 42 years of age, born all the way back in 1977 when God was a boy. He was born 6 foot 9. Maybe people don't realise he's actually 6 foot, because he kind of fights like maybe a smaller man. And no, Adesanya is big as well, but 6 foot, you know, he's no small guy, and that's a lot of muscle to be holding for a 6 foot person as well, getting down to 185 pounds. So obviously one of the big things here is coming off of 2 losses. This is some grappling bouts, so forget that. But he lost to Paulo Costa, lost to Robert Whittaker as well, both by one by split decision, one by unanimous decision. But I think actually more people, I think, well, as split, yeah, I suppose they would. A lot of people thought he might have won the Robert Whittaker fight. A very close fight, whichever way. And same with the Paulo Costa fight. I thought he definitely did lose the Paulo Costa fight, but Paulo Costa, I don't know, is 100% fit right now. So Yoel Romero gets the fight here. And then, like, after that, Yoel Romero's had lots of fights. Beat Luke Rockhold, knocked him out. Everyone remember the kiss afterwards. So that was a big knockout for him. Lost to Robert Whittaker. Again, Whittaker went 10 rounds with him. That flying knee against Chris Weidman, former champion of the world. Chris Weidman, former champion of the world. Luke Rockhold as well. Jacare Souza, former Strikeforce champion of the world. Lyoto Machida, former light heavyweight champion of the world. Tim Kennedy, was Tim Kennedy a champion somewhere? I'm not 100% sure. But Brad Tavares as well, that test that everyone gets. Derek Brunson, the test as well that everyone gets. Honey Marks, Clifford Starks, Fei Zhao, he fought back in Strikeforce. That was his one loss before the most recent ones. And then he guys as well at the start of his career. So look at Yoel's finishing, the way he finishes fights. See here, the big 0, a big duck egg here, no submissions. For a guy who was a world champion, I believe, wrestler, have no submissions and only 2 decisions and 11 knockouts. It tells you all you need to know about Yoel Romero and the way he fights these days. And his losses, 1 KO, and one decision. That KO was I believe that fight would get phased out. Indeed, it was. So yeah, you see the record there of Yoel Romero, 13-4. Israel Adesanya then perfect 18-0. The last style bender. As we saw earlier on, Yoel Romero 6 foot. Israel Adesanya 6'4", so definitely has that advantage there in terms of size and reach as well. 80 inches fighting out of City Kickboxing, I know they call it City Kickboxing, who produced the likes of Dan Hooker and Volkanovski as well, who's the featherweight champion under Eugene Behrman. So 18-0, beat Robert Whittaker in the second round of his last fight, beat Kelvin Gastelum in my fight of the year in 2019, fantastic fight, beat the legend, former world champion Anderson Silva, beat Derek Brunson. As I said again, the two guys here, Brunson and Tavares, the tests for everyone coming through, beat Marvin Vettori in a tough fight, into the fight at 12-0 against Marvin Vettori, 12-2-1, so a similar enough record again. Rob Wilkinson, 11-1, and then that was his first fight in the UFC. So, from 2018, we talked about lads earlier, they've been out of the cage for two years, been out of the cage since February, March 2018. He's gone into the UFC, won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights, and is the champion when he's won the championship. Obviously won the interim championship in the Kelvin Gastelum fight as well, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he? Yeah, for the interim championship. So yeah, he's not the most experienced guy in the world in terms of big UFC fights, but he is the champion. He's done it really, really quickly. Before that, he fought Melvin Gillard. Jesus Christ. How did he fight Melvin Gillard? That's a bit bad, but anyway, he did. And look at the other guys he fought here, like 6-1 in his 8 fight, which is 7 fights against 8 fights, not too bad. And he fought a very experienced guy here, and here, and here, and here. So coming through, there was no easy matchups. He fought Keenan Song in just his third fight. And all the way along, okay, he fought a 1-4 guy in his debut, but he fought fighting an experienced guy and then fighting 3-1, so he's straight into the Lions Den immediately, and lost his one amateur fight. So he has a loss back in 2009, so that was a good 11 years ago. So his wins obviously 18-0. How have they come? 4 by decision, 14 by KO, and obviously no losses there. So Adesanya, lots of knockouts. Israel Adesanya, Yoel Romero, lot of knockouts as well. So is there going to be a knockout in this? Quite possibly. So a quick look at maybe just the main card again. Obviously Adesanya versus Yoel Romero for the 185 pound title. 18 fights versus 17 fights. Zhang Weili against Ioane and Jacek for the 115 pound title. 21 fights against 19 fights. Benil Dariush 17-4-1 versus Drakkar Klose 11-1-1, and we've Neil Magny against Li Zhangliang, and also Alex Oliveira versus Max Griffin. Right, so that's it from me. Thanks to everybody for watching. If you're watching here on YouTube, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, share it out, tell everyone if you enjoyed it. And if you're watching on Patreon, thank you very much for signing up as well. And if you're not signed up on Patreon, you're watching on YouTube, please sign up. SevereMMA.com/Patreon will get you right there. And I'll see you before the next pay-per-view. Take it easy. Enjoy the fights.